for one last ride? We'll all fly away together. Into the forever and beautiful sky.
Well, I wanted to replace Chris Pratt after the first movie, but I think the audience got used to him playing the character, and so, you know, and I think John Krasinski was shooting some at the time, so.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm just finding that out now. I'm really glad.
I worked really hard, and Marvel really fought me on it.
Oh, okay. He'd been awesome.
Yeah.
Should I go? One ingredient that I needed to bring was just the perfect medium spray tan. That was one.
Yeah, on your hands.
On my hands, and potentially my forearms, and my neck, and my décolletage.
It's kind of creepy the way you do that. It's kind of like Gollum.
You know, I think the main ingredient that we had to bring was James. He's like the main course, and so you know his imagination. And you really see that in this film, in Volume 3. It's the deepest look into the strange caverns of this man's mind, and his love for animals, his love for friends, his concern for compassion. It's all right there on the screen, and it's really incredible.
I was excited about bringing pop music from the first movie to the second movie, and kind of keeping that as a part of the Guardians franchise.
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm Star-Lord.
Yeah, Hooked on a Feeling was almost the opening scene, so it was really between Come and Get Your Love and Hooked on a Feeling for me. I don't remember exactly why, but I think I just, at the end of the day, felt like it was a better song to dance to. And as far as the choreography goes, we didn't really... The only thing that was choreographed was this thing. When he dances underneath the title, because I had a very specific way that I thought that should be.
Yeah.
But other than that, he's like, should we hire a choreographer or something? And
yeah, certainly around like the final dance sequence, I was like, should I hire a dance consultant or something? Or like, not that, the final dance off, but yeah, we just shot a bunch of stuff and we listened to the music and danced around, and you had a couple of shots where I slide across the floor.
Oh yeah, sliding
those were like stunted out with the harness where I was going to slide across.
But I wanted it to be like a real guy dancing and not a choreographed piece.
Yeah.
I thought if we got a dance choreographer, it would have just been
it looked a little
Fred-Astaire.
It was really fun. It was really fun. Yeah. It was early on, so there was a certain part of me that couldn't let go and enjoy myself while making the first film because I was really concerned about doing a good job. Like it wasn't until probably the third movie that I could relax enough to enjoy the process and didn't feel like I was having to prevent myself from being fired or something. You
seemed a lot more relaxed in the second movie, though.
Did I?
Yeah, way more relaxed. I mean, because you had done, Jurassic World by that point. You had done this movie. People embraced you as the character, so you definitely seemed more relaxed on the second film.
I formed the Guardians. Met a girl. Fell in love.
Well, I think, what was interesting about the second film is it's only 2 months, time-wise, it's only a couple months after the first movie. Although for the audience, it was 2 years later. For us, it was just a couple months later for the group. And so they're just getting to know each other. They're really becoming a family at that point. I think they become kind of friends in the first movie. They start to become a family in the second movie, with Gamora, Groot, all of them, And I think that we see, that they embrace Mantis to some degree, and she has this instant friendship with Drax that is really special. And she'll grow a lot, and she changes a lot over the movies. But I think that's when they start to become a more of a family, and we see the closeness between Quill and Gamora as well grow in that movie.
What's that thing in the real world? Like, what happens when people stop being polite and start being real? That's like kind of the theme of the second movie, it feels like. We're not choosing to be together. We're not stuck together due to the circumstance and because I gave a rousing speech and said, let's care about something bigger than ourselves. Let's go. Okay, we do it. And we save Xandar. And now it's like, we're going to continue to do this, right? As a group. And we go, okay. So we make that decision at the end. Something good, something bad, a little bit of both. And now we're in the middle of something good, something bad, a little bit of both. And we're getting to see the other sides of each other's personalities and starting to annoy each other, and as family does.
Yeah, I think you see it, and there's a great, your relationship with Gamora changes a lot. I think there's a big fight scene that you guys have that we choreographed pretty specifically. That fight scene, the way we're all moving around, the camera's moving, and that was, but that's so obviously, even they're not admitting it, that's a fight between boyfriend girlfriend. That's that is a relationship fight.
Yeah.
And then you fight in the third movie, and it is absolutely not a boyfriend-girlfriend fight.
Right.
It's something
different. Yeah.
Then she came back. Came back a total dick.
Oh, please. He left out some important information, but that is the gist of it.
Well, I knew what was going to happen somewhat in Volume 3, and so the one thing I asked the Russos to do was to give me the kiss because they needed to have the kiss. I forget about this all the time, but I'm like, yeah, please have them give the kiss so that we know that they're in a relationship now. We see it at the end of Volume 2. At one point, we had shot a kiss in Volume 2, and it just was too much. And it was much more effective when she looks at him at the end and says some unspoken thing. That's, what she's seeing. And you know in that moment that she loves him. And it just is like, I think, the subtle way of the Guardians movies, even though they seem rather over the top at times. And so they gave me that kiss.
The circumstances really set up the dynamic for Volume 3, and with the circumstance being that Gamora, that Peter Quill knows, dies. And then another Gamora comes back, and but it's not the woman that Quill knows. It's not the woman who ever met Quill or has ever fallen in love with Quill. He never saved her life in the middle of space, and they never fought the odds together, and they never had an unspoken thing. And so, like, this relationship that really defined Quill and gave him a sense of purpose and sense of self is gone. And so when she's gone, that means that Quill's lost.
Yeah, I think that, we've been really clear that if, somebody dies in a Guardians movie, they're dead. Yondu dies, he's dead. So many times, in comic books especially, people die and come back and die and come back, and it kind of makes death meaningless. And so that makes the sacrifice, the story point meaningless. And I think with this, it was, Gamora died in Infinity War, and she is dead. This is not Gamora. It is Gamora, but it's a different version of her, and she has different experiences, which makes her a different person completely. And so it was to be able to play with that multiverse, but at the same time, acknowledge that death does have, reality to it within this universe.
Right.
There's stakes.
Yeah, I thought it was beautiful. It was an amazing set. The Nowhere set's truly extraordinary.
Yeah, we got to piggyback on Guardians 3 because we shot the holiday special at the same time, so we got the benefit of these enormous movie sets on a TV show budget, which was pretty cool. But the things I think, well, first of all, they were always brother and sister. We shot a piece. I think it's out on Marvel Legends on Disney Plus, but we shot a scene between Drax and Mantis at the end of Volume 2, where Mantis says to Drax, he's my brother, basically. And he's like, why don't you tell him? And she's like, because it's like he's ashamed of ego and he won't love me. And so they were always brother and sister in my mind. You can see it in Volume 2 because you look at one of the statues of all the different women that Ego has been with, and there's a little Mantis woman in the back that he's been with. And so we see where she comes from, Easter egg. But that scene...
She comes from an Easter egg?
It's an Easter egg. It's a term that maybe you haven't learned yet in your life, even though this is your job.
Oh, yeah, no, I believe in Jesus. I don't believe in bunnies, okay? So I'm out. Bye.
That's
Well, okay, so
Bunnies are cool.
So Mantis comes from an Easter egg.
Are you being serious right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The thing I think about that scene is that you were really good, and Palm is just so freaking good in that scene.
Wait, I'm really good and she's just so freaking good? So she's better than me.
Not that she's better than
Easter egg.
Yeah, that's an Easter egg.
That's an Easter egg.
Your
James
mediocrity in that scene is an Easter egg. No, listen, you're great, but she's really great in that scene. She's so vulnerable. You've got a scene like that in this movie that I just told you about earlier in Volume 3, and a movie that plays all over the world, not just a stupid TV show.
Whoa!
Yeah.
No, you're right.
You're great.
She was
amazing.
incredible. I mean, she was really very vulnerable, and I remember that. Remember that? Yeah.
It's funny that you remember something about another actor on set. Something they did.
That's something that's never happened before.
First time.
She must have been good because I remember her, and normally I only focus on myself.
What's her last name?
Mantis? Does she have a last name? I don't know.
I want you all to know that I'm grateful to fight beside my friends.
Incinerate them.
You go first.
Because you're going to see if I'm going to make a joke of it or go serious. Listen, it's working with, I told him this the other night. This is true. One of my great joys of this whole thing has been my friendship with Chris. Being able to do this with Chris, making movies can be really tedious at times, and it's never tedious because we always do what we do now, which is just constantly joking around throughout the day, and it makes it really fun. And I am really going to miss that when I have to work on other movies with other much more boring actors. Probably more talented, but more boring offset.
Go ahead. You were saying?
No, it's been a great collaboration.
Yeah, it's. I feel the same way. It's been great. I mean, we really get to play for a living, and that's you're a great playmate. As that sounds. Oh, you should run with that. James Gunn.
I hope that's the headline.
Yeah, he went from
James Gunn's a great playmate.
But no, we have a lot of fun together, and I'm really grateful. I mean, he really, I wouldn't say I was plucked from complete obscurity, but on all the lists that people had of who should play Star-Lord, I wasn't on them, and he found me and put me in this this trilogy, and it really had and I told him this is kind of wild. It was my last audition.
Another thing, though, to say is that we both came from, I had a fair amount of success. I had, written, 3 #1 movies. I had directed a couple movies, one of which was very, critically, lauded, but not, wasn't a big movie. And so it was like we had both had success. So we came upon this at the same time of, bigger success. And so we have been through this same experience, so, together at the same time. And the Guardians have done that for both of us.
Yeah.
And so that's a bond that you can never lose, even after you've blocked their phone number.
We'll all fly away together. One last time.
At the end of the day, Guardians Volume 3 in particular is about compassion. It's about how that is an answer to almost every one of life's problems, and that you can maybe look beyond what your own personal beliefs are, the own personal way of looking at the world, and have a little bit of compassion for somebody else. And that makes the world a lot easier. And if people just take a little tiny bit of that after seeing this movie, then it will have been well worth having made all 3 movies.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. That's great. I love that. I love everything you said. Easter egg.